All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're unpacking the story behind the PlayStation 5 Pro. Now, since its launch, our sources have been painting a pretty wild picture. They're arguing this isn't just your typical hardware refresh. Oh no, it's a calculated, and some would say deeply cynical business experiment. So let's dig into what's really going on here.
And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? This is the central claim we're exploring today. The argument is that the PS5 Pro was never really built for gamers. It was built for shareholders, and it could signal a massive shift in how consoles are made and sold from now on.
And it all kicks off with the price. I mean, where else could it start? On September 10th, 2024, Sony drops the news the PS5 Pro will cost $700. But as a lot of people quickly found out, that was just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, see, if you want what pretty much everyone would call a complete console, you have to fork over another $80 for the disk drive, and then another $30 for a stand to make it, stand up vertically. So the real cost to get the full experience, a whopping $810.
And when you put that number up against previous generations, you really start to see the strategy take shape. The PS4 Pro, $400. The original PS5, $500. And guess what? Both of them came with a drive and a stand right in the box. With the PS5 Pro, it's not just that the price tag is higher, it's that they've literally unbundled essential parts to squeeze every last dollar out of you. And this is what leads experts over at Digital Foundry to this pretty damning conclusion. They're basically saying this isn't about pushing gaming forward. This is a financial product, plain and simple. It's an instrument designed to test the absolute limits of what we're willing to pay and to maximize profit for shareholders. Okay, but you might be thinking, a high price could be worth it for some truly revolutionary tech, right? Well, you'd think so. But let's take a look under the hood. Because according to this analysis, the PS5 Pro's #1 selling point, a feature called PSSR, is a far cry from the game changer Sony advertised. So what is PSSR? Well, the full name is PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution, and it's supposed to be Sony's magic bullet. It's an AI upscaling tech, kind of like NVIDIA's DLSS that PC gamers know and love. The promise was huge, mind-blowing resolution and buttery smooth performance. The reality, though, well, that turned out to be a very different story. In fact, analysts have found some major problems in the biggest launch games. In Star Wars Outlaws, for instance, there was reportedly this intense shimmering effect, which is this really distracting flicker on the edges of objects. In Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, the image quality is apparently just straight up worse. And on top of all that, tons of games built on the hugely popular Unreal Engine 5 are having compatibility issues. The takeaway from these reports is shocking. Instead of an upgrade, PSSR can actually make your games look worse. It's this huge gap between the marketing hype and the actual performance that led John Linneman from Digital Foundry to call it pure customer deception. The argument here is that Sony knowingly sold a piece of tech that was nowhere near ready, all while calling it revolutionary. Okay, so now we have to talk about that missing disk drive, because this wasn't just some random design choice. The source material frames it as a very deliberate, very calculated financial move. 433%. Just let that number sink in. According to the source, that is the profit margin on the external disk drive. They sell it to you for $80, but it only costs them about $15 to make. And this decision seems to be a brilliant, if not ruthless, three-part strategy. First, there's the direct profit, a clean $65 for every single drive they sell. Second, it gives you a nice little nudge towards their all-digital PlayStation store, where they make way more money. And third, it deals a major blow to the used game market, giving Sony even more control over the entire ecosystem. But wait, it gets better. By allegedly keeping the supply of these drives low, Sony has created an artificial shortage. And, as you can see from this chart, that has fueled a black market where scalpers are selling that $80 drive for almost double the price all over the world. So, the big question is, why? Why do all of this? And why now? To really get that, we need to zoom out and look at the entire gaming market, or more importantly, the lack of a competitive one. Market analyst Matt Piscatella really hits the nail on the head here. With Xbox sales reportedly falling behind, Sony is pretty much running unopposed in the high-end console race. And when you're the only game in town, you can basically charge whatever you want. And if you adjust for inflation, you see just how wild this price hike really is. I mean, sure, the real cost of a PlayStation has gone up a bit over the years, But look at that jump from the PS5 to the PS5 Pro. That's a massive 35% increase. For a brand like PlayStation, a leap that big is just unheard of. So when you put all the pieces together, you see the PS5 Pro's 3 real goals. Goal number 1, test our price tolerance. Find out what the absolute maximum we're willing to pay is. 2, segment the market. Create a premium pro tier, just like Apple does with the iPhone. And 3, use all of us as a giant beta test for the technology and the all-digital, diskless business model of the PlayStation 6. So let's bring it all home. If the PS5 Pro really is just a big experiment, what does its success mean for the future of gaming, for all of us? Well, according to this analysis, the future is looking expensive. The prediction is for a PlayStation 6 that costs somewhere between $800 and $900. No disk drive option, period. A machine completely dependent on AI, cloud streaming, and mandatory subscriptions, all while tracking everything you do on it. And that leads us to the final and frankly pretty chilling verdict from our source. From a business point of view, the PS5 Pro is not a failure. It's a massive success. It proved to Sony and every other company watching that gamers are willing to put up with higher prices, missing parts, and even broken technology. So in the end, this whole analysis leaves us with one simple question. The game plan is out in the open, and the trends are clear. The only thing left to decide is what we, the consumers, are going to do about it. Is this the future of gaming you're willing to buy?